Welcome to the Explainer. Today we're going to unravel a massive paradox about kidney health, and we'll discover why everything we thought we knew about our blood test numbers might actually be completely backwards. You know, it's super easy to just assume that a higher number is always better, but it turns out the human body has some absolutely brilliant secrets hidden right behind those numbers.
To really grasp this, we first need to appreciate the sheer scale of what your organs are doing right now. I mean, your kidneys filter a staggering 180 liters of blood every single day. Let that sink in for a second. That means every single drop of blood in your entire body passes through them many, many times over. And doctors, well, they measure this relentless, nonstop pace with a single number known as GFR.
And right here is where the paradox begins. Most people assume a higher GFR naturally means healthier kidneys. But modern medicine has thrown a massive wrench into that assumption. Get this, the absolute newest kidney-protecting medications actually work by lowering your GFR, not raising it. This raises a fascinating question. If lowering GFR is protective, what exactly happens when you fast? Is fasting hurting your kidneys, or is it actually helping them?
Now, really quick, before we jump into the science, please keep in mind that this explainer is strictly for educational purposes, not medical advice. The rules of biology can vary drastically from person to person, so definitely speak with your healthcare provider before changing how you eat, or if you plan to start fasting, especially if you've got existing health conditions.
All right, let's dive right into Section 1, Kidneys as a Speedometer.
So, GFR stands for Glomerular Filtration Rate. Simply put, it's just a measurement of how quickly your kidneys pull waste and extra fluid out of your blood every minute. For a healthy adult, a normal GFR sits comfortably between 90 and 120. So if your number is 100, it basically means your kidneys are filtering about 100 milliliters of fluid per minute. But crucially, this number isn't fixed at all. It fluctuates all day long depending on what you eat, what you drink, or even the time of day.
You really got to think of GFR exactly like a car's speedometer. It gives you a snapshot of your current speed, right? But it tells you absolutely nothing about the health of the engine under the hood. I mean, a car might be going slow because the engine is completely exhausted and breaking down. Or it might be going slow because the driver is just enjoying a relaxed, easy cruise. A single GFR reading is literally just a snapshot of speed in that exact moment.
Which perfectly sets us up for Section 2, the hyperfiltration trap.
You know, we are totally trained to treat medical tests like school exams, where a high score is an instant win and a low score is a failure. But in biology, a kidney running at top speed all day is actually sprinting straight towards burnout. Think about it. If someone ran on a treadmill at top speed for 8 hours straight every single day, you wouldn't say they're in amazing shape. You'd say their body is breaking down.
This constant overworking inside your body is called hyperfiltration. It's a really dangerous state where the kidneys are forced to work way above their normal pace for long stretches of time without nearly enough rest. You've got about 1 million microscopic filters in your kidneys. Under hyperfiltration, they are subjected to constant high pressure. They slowly wear down, kind of like a thin piece of cloth held under a heavy, relentless stream of water.
To prove just how misleading a high number can actually be, researchers looked at young patients with early type 1 diabetes. Now, these patients had an incredibly high GFR of 162. On paper, using that old-school exam logic, those kidneys looked outstanding. But years later, these were the exact patients most likely to develop serious kidney failure. The high number wasn't a sign of superhuman health. It was a blaring alarm that those kidneys were being pushed entirely too hard.
So clearly, a high number can signal danger. Let's explore exactly why in Section 3, Unlocking Renal Reserve.
While modern medicine eventually realized that highly protective drugs actually force overworked kidneys to slow down, dropping GFR by up to 20% to keep them healthier long-term. And this strategy connects right back to a groundbreaking discovery from 1983, which perfectly explains modern findings, like a 2020 study showing that safe fasting can actually improve your GFR over time.
That 1983 discovery by Dr. Juan Bosch? Yeah, it changed everything. He discovered the Renal Functional Reserve, basically proving that healthy kidneys are never supposed to run at their maximum capacity 24/7. Instead, they actually have extra capacity, held back like a backup tank, ready to be used only when the body suddenly needs a massive surge in filtering power.
It turns out a healthy kidney actually cruises along using only about 75% of its everyday capacity. It deliberately holds back a 25% reserve tank for heavy demands, things like pregnancy, severe illness, or processing huge meals.
For example, let's say you sit down and eat a massive high-protein meal.
Your body immediately calls on that reserve tank to process the heavy load. This extra effort can literally spike your GFR by as much as 26% in just a few hours. But that spike isn't sudden kidney healing. It's just your reserve tank kicking into gear to clear out the extra waste.
Now, when you practice fasting safely, the exact opposite happens. You aren't feeding the body constant sugar, and there is no big protein meal coming in. Fasting safely lowers insulin and allows the kidneys to finally step off that treadmill. They get to stop sprinting, take a breath, and return to a healthy, resting baseline without ever needing to pull from the reserve tank. Your GFR safely dips simply because the kidneys aren't being asked to work at full tilt.
But, hey, this brings us to a really critical safety distinction. Section 4. When drops become dangerous.
Look, a drop in GFR during a fast is absolutely only safe if you are properly hydrated. When insulin is low, your kidneys release way more water and salt. If your body runs out of water and minerals, your total blood volume starts to drop. At that point, your GFR plummets, but not because the kidneys are resting, it drops because they are literally starving for blood. So you have to watch closely for these physical warning signs. If your urine turns dark like tea, if you feel dizzy when you stand up, experience a racing heartbeat, unusual fatigue, or persistent mental fog, you must stop, hydrate, and seek medical advice immediately.
Furthermore, if you fall into any of these high-risk categories, your internal filtering rules are just completely different. If you have stage 3 chronic kidney disease, if you're an older adult, pregnant, or take water pills, your reserve capacity is already taxed. Fasting without medical supervision in these specific cases could be incredibly dangerous. A conversation with a doctor is absolutely essential here.
Ultimately, guys, your body is way more intelligent than a single blood test result. Good doctors never, ever read a single GFR number on its own. They look at the trend over time, combined with a urine test, your age, your weight, and your unique lifestyle context. Living a healthy lifestyle means looking at the big picture rather than panicking over a temporary dip on a single snapshot of a lab report.
So, armed with this brand new understanding of your biology, it really makes you wonder, have you ever misread your own body's dashboard? Have you ever panicked over a dropping GFR after a fast, or maybe celebrated a high one without realizing what was quietly happening behind the scenes? It definitely